Well, it turns out that Quebec has been right about wokeness the whole time. Over the last couple of years, Quebec has been criticized for not jumping on the woke bandwagon, or as Francophones might call it, le wokisme. But recent news coming out of Ottawa shows that Quebec was right. We learned last week that the Trudeau administration gave a six-figure contract to an anti-racism expert with a history of saying racist things about French Canadians as well as Jewish Canadians. This guy, who the Trudeau government thought could teach them about anti-racism, has a history of calling the French language ugly, using the slur frogs to describe Francophones, and even disparaged the intelligence of French Canadians. And it'd be natural to wonder, how did it get to a point where the Trudeau government could consider someone like that to be an anti-racism expert? Well, the reality is this: wokeness has warped the moral compass of government officials. It has made it so that they only think some people can be racist against some groups. They don't see the universal aspect of how we need to avoid hate, how all groups could be victimized by the wrong people with the wrong amount of power. Now, it seems like the Trudeau government might have learned something, because they've canceled this contract since. Over the last couple of days, ministers have been out there apologizing on behalf of our Prime Minister. And yet the fact remains that when François Legault, Premier of Quebec, says that wokeness is not good for Quebec, he's right. François Legault has said that he believes wokeness is designed to make people feel guilty about defending the Quebec nation. And I think he's right. I think we're supposed to feel guilty about defending Canada at large, to feel guilty about defending the West, to feel guilty about defending the progress that we've made in creating a more fair and more just society. It's time for us to recognize how this import of American race politics is impacting how we think in Canada. And one way we could acknowledge that is by siding with Quebec on this issue and recognizing maybe they have something important to say. When François Legault has rejected the term systemic racism, he's probably right to do that, because systemic racism isn't actually helping define any problems and solve any problems. In fact, it just seems like a way to promote American race politics in our country. Another important thing that Quebec has done is side with the government of France in decrying the influence of cancel culture in public schools. The rest of Canada hasn't done that. We must recognize that Quebec is right to create cultural safeguards against wokeness, to curb its influence over our institutions, our culture, and through schools, our children. And if we recognize that, then maybe we might work together and come up with a way that we believe Canada should fight racism, rather than taking the lead from American race politics.